From Las Vegas, Sandy Kastel and friends.
Forever.
Now, let's bring on the host. Here is Sandy Kastel.
Hi, and welcome to Sandy Kastel and Friends Variety Show with Chef Michael.
I hate when you do that.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Chef Michael. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I got to tell you, I walked into the studio this morning, and sure enough, we got a beautiful card. We got a gajillion cards from everybody and emails. We thank them. And it's from...
Salvation Army from Leslie Rogers.
And read it what it says.
It says, thanks for all you do to support the Salvation Army. Thanks,
Ain't that nice?
Leslie.
Ain't that nice, everybody? It makes us feel...
Hugs.
Well, you know, it's funny. It was Sandy's birthday last week.
You know, you look like a lumberjack.
I am a lumberjack.
But I look like a leprechaun, I think.
Yeah, you're all in green.
We got the green and red thing happening, and we didn't even plan it.
No, we didn't. And it's amazing. You know, I'm getting depressed now because...
It is Monday.
And I got to take our tree down soon. It kills me. I hate it because I love that. But I got to tell you, you know, we would have started off with just a few people, and we got like 6 people for Christmas Eve with another 30 behind it, and it's going to be wonderful. And I'm very, very excited. We went to see Peter Anthony yesterday at his new salon.
Yes, we did.
And what a good time that we had.
Peter Anthony Wynn.
Peter Anthony Wynn.
And Stephanie.
Wynn. His wife. What
That's
wonderful, and he's got the 3 of the most charming kids you've ever seen in your life. Adorable children.
And one of them just had a birthday.
It was. And I was looking at these kids running around, and they were screaming, and they were kicking the ball. And I said to Sandy, thank God I'm 62 and it's over. God forbid somebody shoot me. That's what's good about grandkids. They love them, and then they bring them back to their children. Here's your grandkid back.
Well, you know, I've always been Aunt Sandy, and so is Aunt Sandy because I missed out on having children, you know, and I've always enjoyed being Aunt Sandy.
Yeah.
You know, I think bring that music down just a little bit, Ryan.
Yeah, the band. That's her father.
Overpowering us.
Yeah, Dick, bring it down. Dick Kastel's with the band. Bring it down, Dick.
And so I just wanted to, first of all, before we start the show, I do want to send out condolences for my family.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sending them out to our family.
Yes.
Because my stepmother passed away this weekend, Friday night, and all the family was here from Colorado to San Francisco to Arizona, and we were all together. And you know, it's challenging enough to lose somebody in your life, but especially at the holidays, you know. And so we're going to do an online memorial for her.
That's nice.
And all the family members are going to send photos and things like that, and share some stories, and share some scriptures, and so that we can post those online, so that all the family can stay connected and give tribute to Joanne Kastel.
Yeah.
And my dad and she were married for 43 years.
Mom,
43 years.
43 years.
And she was just a wonderful mother to all of us. And we're going to miss her dearly. Yeah. And thank you to all of our friends out there and family who have sent us their wishes and their prayers, and for keeping us in mind during the holiday season and during this rough time that we're going through.
And my condolences go out to everybody else that lost a loved one, because every day people are born and every day people pass away. That's the circle of life, you know. And for some, it's sad because it's sad for us. For them, they're at rest and their troubles are over, and they're at peace.
And they're with God. Yes,
they're with God.
Yes.
So, but the bottom line. And I'm glad that I did what I did, doing all those dinners every week. And I used to say to Sandy, there'll be a day someday, you know, these people are not around, you never know. And that's why there was days I got up on Sunday morning and I said, I was beat, I was tired. I said, call your father, tell him to come over and eat. And that woman, as sick as she was, everybody, Dick would turn around and say, Joanne, you want to go to Mike's and Sandy's for dinner? And that old lady would jump out of bed. She'd come out of bed. All right, and I make her. She used to like my braciole because she was Italian. So I made all her favorite stuff that she did. And she gave me the greatest compliment I ever got.
Your meatballs.
My meatballs. Yeah. She gave me the greatest compliment. I made beef soup. That was my father's recipe. And she ate it one day. She said, Mike, she said, this tastes like my mother's. Mm-hmm. When somebody says something like that to you, it's just an absolutely fantastic, you know, thing. And again, like I said, it's sad that she's gone, especially this time of year. But you know what I mean? The people that are around my table, that Sandy and I that we do for the holidays and for Sunday dinners, the faces have changed, but I keep the spirit alive. You know, now the day I go, then it's over. You know, I'm trying to let somebody carries on the torch. You know, but as long as my breath is...
As long as you leave me the cookbook.
Well, you know, it goes beyond the cookbook. Who we got on the phone?
Robert Ferguson. Hi, Robert. How are
Bobby.
you?
What's up, buddy?
Sandy, my condolences goes out to you.
Oh, thank you, Robert.
I feel so terrible that you lost a loved one. I know how it is.
Thank you, Robert.
Sorry, Bob.
I'm just all in tears, and I know what it is when people lose people, and it's just a terrible thing.
I know. Well, we thank you, Bob. We appreciate it. But like I said, she was sick, and again, you don't want to see anybody. It's like people that have dogs. You know what I mean? They suffer, and then they put them down. You know, you don't want to see them like that.
I know it's hard. Though,
it's hard.
Still, when you're with somebody and you have such a strong bond with everybody, it's not a good thing at any time. You know.
I know, and we thank you for your heartfelt phone call. You know what I mean? Because, like I said to you, what we try to do each day is to bring spirit and laughter into someone's life, and it's hard to do that. You know, when somebody passes away, and I got a chance to see her, but I'm so glad for the year and a half that Sandy and I were together. You know what I mean? Are together that I did the dinners. And Sandy kind of leaned my way with the Italian stuff, and come on over and eat. Because that's what Italian people do. We like to eat. We like to have people around for dinner and stuff like that. I mean, especially from my neighborhood.
Robert, it's really important, and thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thanks.
But it is really important. We're reminded when something like this happens in our life, really how important it is to spend as much time as we can together with the loved ones in our families.
So we thank you, Bob, and we love you.
Much.
And have a great holiday, my dear friend.
I will, and let me know when some more events come up, and so I can be more of help again.
You got it, Bob.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much,
you, and I hope Santa brings you everything you want, like a tall blonde, a brunette, and one with dark hair.
Stop it.
There's only 2 people in the world like you, and you guys are the best. We love you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Guess who's on the phone, Sandy?
Mimi. Hi, Mimi. How are you?
Hi there, guys.
Hi,
Just wanted to add my condolences to you, Sandy.
Thank you.
It's tough. Isn't it sad that especially when we're losing somebody, and especially at this season when it's supposed to be joyful? But anyway, sweetheart.
I know, and the thing of it is traditionally, the holidays are always a challenging time for people, especially if they're ill, they're not, and they're going through a crisis in their life. A lot of times they'll let go in that time of the year.
Yeah.
It's as if they're saying goodbye, and I don't want to go into the next year.
Yeah.
And everybody, was there with her, which is great, and such a blessing that everybody was able to come in.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and see Joanne.
Yeah.
And be with her and just reminisce with family and share their stories.
Yeah.
And, so that was very, very important. And I got to tell you, the Mountain View Hospital was amazing. I mean, that staff there in the ICU unit.
Incredible.
They were just bent over backwards to make sure that Joanne was comfortable and that the family was allowed to be there. They do have a certain time out of every day that they do say that they don't, have visitors in there. And that's, I think, from 8 to 10 in the morning and 8 to 10 at night. And that's usually because they're changing the guards. They've got to have some time, where they can change out everything.
Sure.
But they were very considerate of the family needs, which is they have a nice waiting room outside, right out the,
And we also
want
to give a shout out to the people that from the funeral people that came and were so kind.
Yes, the Neptune Society.
The Neptune Society.
The Neptune Society, came, and they're taking care of everything,
Well, you know what? It's a tough thing to go through. I lost my mother. Oh, my goodness, it's been 20-some years ago now. But she passed away December 28th. I mean, so, but I think this is kind of a wake-up call for a lot of people to say, what's going to happen if something happens to me? Right. Make your plans. I know that's may sound maudlin to some people, but hey, when my mother passed, I immediately made plans for. So when I go, I would never put loved ones through that.
Well, you're right, because we've got to get together with Neil Colmenares today.
He's the attorney.
And he's our attorney. And I know that Diane and Dr. Perry, have already set up everything. It's called a living will a lot of times. People set up the living will. And it helps for the transition for the family, because the family is left to deal with these kinds of things.
Yes.
And it's very important to have everything set up and prepared so that the transition is smoother for the family too.
That's right.
So that they're not left with any surprises.
Well, I asked Neptune because I'm 62, and I have a Harley Davidson. I said to Sandy, God forbid.
And he does not wear a helmet.
Yes, I do. You can't.
Oh yeah, that little.
Well, he's a hard head.
Hard head for sure, and he sets it on the top of his head. It's one of those little tiny things.
Yeah, you drop on you.
If he falls off of that thing, forget it. That thing's going to pop off.
So here's the thing. I said, "What? How much does it cost?" Well, they said $1,700 for cremation. For me personally, Mimi, you know what I mean. A lot of the Italians went in a casket. For me, no, not for me. I said
everybody has a different idea
which is
what
okay.
they want to do.
Yeah, because I wanted my original plan was when I die. We're all going to throw a seven someday. I wanted to be laid out on my stomach at the viewing.
Oh,
because I don't want people to see. When you go to funerals, people walk up to the casket and you look at them and you look at the person you went and you go, "Hey, you look good. You look good. You're dead. Forget about it." Yeah. But I wanted to be laid out on my stomach. And
You're insane.
No, I'm serious.
Okay. He is insane.
I'm serious. And do you know why, Mimi? Do you know why?
Why?
Because I want everybody to kiss my ass on the way out. That's exactly what I know. At least I got you to laugh a little bit.
Well, listen, thank you so much, Mimi, for your thoughts and prayers.
Well,
thank you,
my prayers are with you guys.
Thank you so much.
It's a tough time. It's a tough time, but you'll get through it.
Right.
I know.
You have to just continue living in a happy way.
Right.
And hey, enjoy every minute.
Enjoy every minute. Do everything on your bucket list, right?
And Mimi,
betcha.
And Mimi, I want you to have a beautiful, happy, Merry Christmas from Sandy and I, because we love you, and thank you for always calling in and being a tremendous fan, because you are and I really mean that. I tease about pole dancing. Ladies and gentlemen, she's not a pole dancer. Mimi's a sweetheart.
I retired.
She retired. She was a madam at Chicken Ranch. That's how
Hey. Don't be giving away your secrets. Anyway, thank you, Mimi.
Okay, guys, and have a wonderful Christmas.
Thank you.
And enjoy each other.
Thank you so much, Mimi. And if you're just tuning in now, you're listening to Sandy Kastel and Friends Variety Show with Chef Michael.
Yeah.
And we've got Charles Wallert on the phone, and we're going to be talking to him a little bit afterwards, after our brief message from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
I can't wait to talk to Charlie.
Slip a sable under the tree.
Morning Brighter. This is Sandy Kastel and Friends. Here again, your host, Sandy Kastel.
Hi, and welcome back to Sandy Kastel and Friends Variety Show with Chef Michael. Hi, Charles Wallert. How are you?
Oh, Sandy and Chef Michael. I got to ask a question. Chef Michael doesn't sound like he's from Las Vegas. I hear a little New York connection there.
How can you tell?
I'm from Baila Fouche, Louisiana.
Nah.
No, I was
It's a little further north, but it's called South Philly.
Yes, I'm originally from South Philadelphia.
South Philly is a suburb of Brooklyn. I have so many dear friends from South Philly, past, currently. So yes, it's the only place where they call it gravy. Brooklyn and Philadelphia.
That's right.
You know, it's funny, Charlie. When I came to Vegas in '74, I went to the Sahara. I'll never forget it. And I'm performing in the Casbah Lounge. So I sit down. I'm hungry. I was a kid. I was in my 20s.
Right.
And I said, "Give me a dish of spaghetti with gravy, a lot of gravy." And the lady said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." She came in with the brown gravy. I'll never forget it the rest of my life. I said, "What the hell is this?" I said. She says, "You asked for gravy, sir." So back here they call it sauce. We say macaroni, they say pasta. What is your nationality, Charlie?
I'm Italian-Irish, but I grew up completely Italian. My father, who had a little of the Irish side, he looked more Italian than my mother. So we're totally Italian, Neapolitan.
Oh, you're not really done. That's wonderful.
I was near Atlantic City on the outside, and my friend's cousin came from Naples, a great chef, and he made the Sunday thing to die for.
You know, we do, Sandy and I, we do every Sunday, and again,
Sunday
we
dinners.
just mentioned it on the air that her stepmom passed a couple of days ago. And, and the old lady, every time we would call, she'd be in bed, and my father-in-law would say, "You want to go to Mike and Sandy's for dinner?" "Oh, yeah." And she loved when I made the braciole. You know, for
that's the Sunday. The braciole with the pork and beef and the meatballs.
That's right.
I cut it right with the fork from the gravy. Well, I love rigatoni and fusilli. Those are my favorites.
Well, you know, this Wednesday, I just wanted to have a handful of people, me and Sandy. You know, just
a small little intimate
just
group.
a few. And what happened, because I'm making alfagile. You know what alfagile is? You know, it's the Italians, the fish. The bacalao.
Right.
I'm making
fishes.
this.
They're making it the 7 fishes.
Right. Well, my friends out here, some of them are Jewish, most of them are Italian. I got a friend, Carlo Grasso, he's Italian, but he's really not. You know, he's a West Coast Italian. He's not East Coast. He's different. You know, this guy don't know.
Minor league.
Minor league. No, I'm only kidding.
Minor league.
So what happened is that I'm going to do, because my friend George, he loves the meatballs. I'm making meatballs with the roasted peppers, the chicken cutlets. I'm going to make the stuffed galamad. I'm going to make the bacala. I'm going to make the lobster Diablo sauce and with my mother, because my mother made that with the linguine. You know, and I got the pascals. We got a bunch of people coming over, and it's going to be really nice. And one thing about us, me and Sandy went out yesterday, and I always did this. We bought presents for every...
You're not supposed to tell them.
What the hell's the difference? Huh? We bought presents for every person that's coming for dinner.
It's supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Now everybody will know.
A little something. We spent about $10,000 each on these people.
Yeah.
I bought a car. I bought somebody a burial plot. I got, you know, Dr. Perry, I gave him a life subscription for buffets, you know. Anyway, I'll turn it over to Sandy. Go ahead, because I know you want to talk about it. Sorry, Charlie.
When I come out there, no restaurant. I'm coming to the house.
You come to the house.
Definitely, you got to come to the house.
Let me ask you a question,
we got to get Tom out here too.
Yeah. What do you want when you come out here? What do you want me to make you?
What's your favorite?
What's your
dish?
favorite? And I'll give you the recipe.
Surprise me.
Well, what do you like? What's your favorite Italian meal? I mean, your favorite Italian dish?
He says he likes braciole.
I love if you do a good fried diablo, like you said, the lobster fried diablo.
Yes.
And then, you know, maybe we do some meatballs as an appetizer.
You got it, Charlie. And I'll do the shrimp scampi for you, and I'll make my Aunt Teresa's devil clams. I stuff them with crab meat, and I deep fry them. You'll go out of here with the mozzarella inside. You'll go out of your mind over them.
I'll bring a couple of bottles of Barolo, and we'll be in good shape.
Let's go. I'll be waiting for you.
Do you like to cook too, Charlie? Charles?
I cook certain things, but I cook on Sunday. I do make a mean red sauce, just because I wanted to duplicate what my grandmother did. So a few things. Linguine white clam. I do very good baked clams oregano. And I like to do that, and it does relax me, a person who has very little patience, especially being in this business all these years. You have to have patience. But for anything else, you know, so yes, I do. I like it. Food is one of the great things. I mean, you know, growing up Italian and just I think food, music too. It's part of the whole romance.
Right. Where you calling from, Charles?
I'm calling right now. I'm outside of Atlantic City. I'm going to be with my daughters at the Jersey Shore.
Are you?
I'm doing some things on the holiday season, but I'm a native New Yorker.
Good.
And you know, I just but the connection from Philly goes way back. Because I recorded my early stuff there. I recorded a lot. Gamble Huff and Tom Bell were my early mentors musically.
Right.
And my former partner in a restaurant called Bachelor's 3 in New York, that Joe Namath made famous, he was one of the partners,
right.
Was Ray Abruzzi, who was one of the greatest athletes in the history of South Philadelphia.
Do you remember Jerry Blavitt?
He's still around. Jerry Blavitt works. The Gita with the heater works. I don't know how this guy does it. He works every Thursday. He does this. He does a character's character.
He's still around, that son of a gun. I remember he had a 64 Riviera. I'll never forget it. You know, and he was Melody's Lounge in Memories.
He still got it.
Get the hell out! Really?
Yeah, he still got it. and you know, the whole point about the music, it seemed that when we were kids, it was very eclectic growing up musically. You weren't labeled. A good song made it. Every now and then you'd have a novelty song, you know, like whatever, the Chipmunks. But now it seems to be everything was a novelty song. But because of that eclecticness, when the Beatles came along when we were very young, we liked that. When they started to go more in the Sgt. Pepper and the rock that eventually gave birth to the hard rock, most of us in Brooklyn, and I know Philly for sure, went into the more Motown sound.
Right.
Thus involving the sound of Philadelphia and the soulful, meaningful music. And that's what, I've been blessed to be a part of my whole career.
Yeah, but you know what? The jazz guys, it didn't help the jazz guys at all. I have a friend that is Jack Montrose, and he was a jazz saxophonist, and of course my dad's a jazz saxophonist also. But I remember Jack was really up and coming as an artist, and then the Beatles hit, and it was like, never mind.
Well, the change of music changed because like I said, I was raised in South Philadelphia. In 1971, I had a hit record, "There'll Never Be Another You."
A 45.
It was. Thank you for telling everybody. Yeah, it was a 45 record. I mean, it was.
That was a big deal.
That was a big talking about, and I would not see my family was the
before my time, Charles.
I was hooked up with all the people in my family, so they stuck my record in all the jukeboxes. You know what I mean? But I was like local talent.
Can you explain that? Can you?
Thanks. I really appreciate that. Well, my life's no secret. Go on the internet, you'll find my whole life on this internet. But Philly was.
We can't tell those stories.
No, we can't. No, we can't. But anyway, I played the 500 Club in Atlantic City with Skinny D'Amato. I was just a kid. Then the Reds Morgans across the street in the Black Orchid Club.
My friend, Pistol Pete Quarelli's uncle owned Reds Morgan.
Get the hell out.
Nope.
You remember Reds Morgan? I loved Reds, boy. That son of a bitch. He was the best, boy. I loved. Then he had Harry the Hats next door, where we used to go have for breakfast, and Dean and Frank. The whole gang used to go there. Atlantic City's changed. Now, let me tell everybody, Charlie, about the White House hoagie. People don't believe me. How long are those hoagies?
It's legendary, but I gotta tell you something. Coming from New York, we're very fussy, and the White House, it's still a gem, an economic boom. There's a few good places here that have the family broke off in a sack of subs, and there's other places premium, but they do something special. And anytime you can be unique and do something special, it's tremendous. But I got to tell you something. Being in New York from Brooklyn, most of the people in Brooklyn move to Staten Island, and if you're Italian, you want two good restaurants. You want Italian and you want Chinese. Well, they don't have those anymore. In Manhattan, you can't find good Southern Italian cooking, and you could go to some great, very expensive restaurants and have a good meal, but it's not the same. Well, when I came out here to visit my friends, and I'm working on a couple of projects, my buddy's got a property here, so it provides me some peace. They have these neighborhood restaurants. A lot of people from Brooklyn and South Philly. Johnny's Cafe in Margate, South Philly. 2825 from Brooklyn. And the food is incredible. It's incredible. So, it's one of the things, passion in life, like I was saying to Sandy, music, food. Come on, man, that's part of romance.
Tell me about it. Well, I got to tell you.
There's always going to be romance. And Sandy, the reason why the Beatles took everybody out is that they were singing songs that appealed to the baby boomer generation when we were 13, 14, 15. That's the key. Right. Appeal to something that means something.
Right.
And, jazz was a great rebellion at one point because it was a musical expression in a different way, because people were bored with the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
However, things do change, and I always say to people, you want to make great music. Who do you want to make it for? If you want to make it for yourself, then spend your $100,000 and play it in your room. But understand, to me, I feel I have a responsibility. I always write from the heart. I only write about 25% of what I produce, and I've produced many, many records. But the song has got to mean something.
Right.
And if it means something to me, it's going to mean something to somebody else. And what the ultimate thing about that is?
What?
It creates a good feeling, being a positive feeling about being in love, or a healing feeling that you need to move on.
Right.
Charlie, I got to tell you something. So you could see the face to what the voice. Sandy and I did a television show. Out here we have a big sponsor called Smith's, SMITH. It's like a food chain, big multi-billion-dollar food chain. They're one of our sponsors. Anyway, to make a long story short, if you go on YouTube, put in Shopping at Smith's. We do a 45-minute television show. It's all about the authentic South Philadelphia cooking.
Right.
I make the meatballs. I made amanesta, scarol and beans. I made alioli.
I made that every Wednesday. Every Wednesday.
So if you go on, you could, as soon as you hang up the phone, just go on YouTube and put Shopping at Smith's, and you'll see the show that Sandy and I did, and it went viral. And now we're on the radio 5 days a week. Now we went to television on Saturday and Sunday. We're on 5 times a day on Saturday and Sunday. We were the #1 radio show in Las Vegas, and I got to tell you something. When you come to Vegas, we would love to see you. You know what I'm trying to. My mother still lives in Egg Harbor.
We could get him on the TV show
Yes.
and cook with you.
I'm looking at Egg Harbor right now out the window.
Get out. My mother's in Egg Harbor, and I called her yesterday. She's 85. I said, Mom, please, I'll send you a first-class ticket. The old lady will not get on the plane and come to see me. I don't know why.
She doesn't want to leave home.
She get out to eat a while because the restaurant I told you from Capri, it's on Tilton Road in Northfield, right adjacent to Egg Harbor. This is the guy, the chef from Naples. It's incredible.
But were you in Vegas in 74, 75?
Oh, I was in Vegas in 74. I was in Vegas all the time.
Well, I got to tell you a quick story, and Uncle Cindy's got a million questions she wants to ask you. I came to
guys are
Vegas.
doing just fine.
I came to Vegas in 1974. I was just a young kid, and what happened? Well, just a second. I'm on the air. I got to call you back. Find out all these people calling me on the air. And there was a place called the Tower of Pizza right across the street.
Hold it. Stop.
What?
My good friend Jasper.
Hey, I love him. Okay, look, I'm glad. How do you know Jasper? Let me tell you what happened. So I was in my 20s, and you remember him. You know, he had his books out. The FBI came in. He loan sharked. You know what he did. Everybody knows.
I know nothing about that.
Go take a crap. Don't give me that bullshit.
When I got to town, I was told, stop and see him. I had linguine white clam sauce.
The best.
I gave him my itinerary. Here's the shows I wanted to see, and I never got worse than first row.
Well, let me tell you what I did. So I answered an ad. I'm 62 years old today. I was in my 20s. It said Chef Won It. So I get in the car. I go there, and he's sitting down, which I didn't know who he was. His wife, Ann. I don't know if you remember his wife, Ann. Tall, blonde-headed girl.
Know her.
And he had about 3-4 kids at the time. Very nice people. And he had about
Classy guy.
Right, 4 or 5 guys around the table. So he said, "What can I do for you, kid?" I said, "I'm here to audition, for the chef's position." He said, "The chef's position? That's been filled. Thanks for coming in." So I walk out the door. I looked at the paper. 2 days later, I go back, and I sit down, and I walked in the joint, and I says, "Hi," I says, "I was here a couple days ago. I noticed that you have the ad." He said, "Didn't we tell you that it's been full?" So I say to him, "Tu capisci italiano?" Which, for those that are listening, that means, do you understand Italian? He says, yeah. I says, tutta mangiare frittata. Do you want to eat an Italian? Frittata in Italian, ladies and gentlemen, it's called an omelet. It's an Italian omelet with peppers. Un papato frittata. He says, yeah. He says, go in the kitchen and make it for me. Make a long story short, I worked for him for a year and a half. Who's at the table was the Spallatro brothers. I'm going to tell you something. These guys were great. I made zufrit, gabutzel, udrip. I made all the Guinea dishes.
It's got to be Neapolitan because that's what my mother made.
Yeah, right. I'm Napolitan. And they paid me $100 a day then. Then, you understand? It was big money. So I'm in the kitchen and I'm singing. And I'm doing Di do gelu stavo gambarozza. And I'm singing this Italian song. He said, "Kid, you got a nice voice." They put me at the Marina Hotel. They picked up the phone. They gave me 4 weeks at the Marina. I paid me $350 to play with the lounge. I was just a kid. They gave me my break. I got to tell you, Jasper, I know he's gone. I said, God bless him. What a wonderful man. But that era, Charlie, is gone.
Come on, let me
It's
tell
gone.
you something. I was there. You talk about 74, 75. I'm at Sinatra's table one night. The next night, I'm seeing Elvis, and it was classy, nice. The shock of all shocks, I hadn't been there in about 16 years. The last time I was there was to see Elvis live, and then he had passed, and then I was standing in front of that statue in the Hilton, and it's the first time I had been back in 16 years. I was shocked. Then I went back one more time again. It was just different. Look, I'm not one of these guys that says progress isn't good. So to me, the way I like to live, that was not progress. I understand business.
Yeah.
But those days, I never forget. I'm sitting with Joe Namath in the Stardust late at night, and Sammy Davis and George Hamilton walk in, and Sammy's got a ring. about as big as his finger. Awkward. So Joe Namath always he was never at a loss for words. He said, "Hey, Sammy, I got give somebody got a pair of sunglasses. Sammy's ring is blinded me." And Sammy says, "Oh, EP gave me that, babe."
That's wonderful. You know something, Charlie? I'm so glad that you called. It's a funny thing about Italian people. You know, we never met. And yet we talk about food, and there's a camaraderie between Italians, you know, because we take
each other's sentences. Because now here we are across the world. I knew exactly the guy who. Well, look how this is. But you see, Michael, Sandy, that's what we need to let the world know, that we're not different. There's something there that keeps us all together, and let's look at what that is rather than what separates us.
That's right.
Well, I'm looking at your bio here, and I'm going to let Sandy go. Give Sandy a shot because you have the most intensive. The only person that I've seen with a bio like this is Steven Spielberg.
He's not Italian.
No, he's not.
No, he's a lanceman.
I can see why you guys got to go on TV and everything. You guys are entertaining. You're entertaining me. I can imagine the audience. They got to be going crazy.
Well, you know, when we started this a year ago, there was about 20,000 listeners. You know what I mean? Handful of people. And I've been blessed to run the Planet Hollywood out here with the Jockey Club timeshare. And so I got access to all the show tickets. So when people would call for a recipe, I'd give them a comp for two. The tickets are $70, $80 a piece. People don't even ask for the show tickets anymore. Now we're up to 90,000 listeners with a number one radio show in Las Vegas from 9 to 10. These people get up in the morning, they see what the hell I'm going to say. And I got to tell you, like I said, when you hang up the phone, you go on YouTube, you can put Shopping at Smith's, you'll see a whole with the entertainment. But I got to tell you, you've done some unbelievable things. Sandy, what is the stuff you got there?
The list just goes on and on and on. The Embers, George
director.
Benson, O.C. Smith, Cuba Gooding, Daryl Tukes, Ronnie Lamar, LaTanya Hall, and Corral. Now, these are just some of the Blue Water recordings. It says you created the Blue Water recordings.
Yeah, that was there. Now I'm back to independent producing and a couple of things. Got a couple of exciting things. As you see, I've never stopped.
I know.
It's on and on and on. And we have in developing now, I'm working on a book and film screenplay about the life of O.C. Smith, which a lot of people know him somewhat, but don't know him. He was the greatest singer ever. And O.C. had Clive Davis's first gold record, Little Green Apples.
Oh, my gosh.
And then Clive had some problems, and people got kind of thrown under the bus. But a lot of people also didn't know that O.C. was the first one to record That's Life. And you can check this out on the internet. Frank Sinatra was driving. Of course, there were no cell phones in those days. He pulls over to a payphone, calls up Nancy and says, "Hey, I heard this song." He says, "I think it's the kid that used to sing with Basie. Find out." So he gets back to wherever he was, the house, the office, I don't know. And Nancy said, "Yeah, that is O.C. Smith." So Frank called Lena Horne.
Wow.
To take him to the Pied Piper in Los Angeles to meet O.C. Smith. And the story, and then he became a reverend of New Thought philosophy, which, Sandy, I see you very much with your philosophy, is the New Thought, the spiritual rather than religion and all that.
Right.
But he was still active, and we had another career in the Carolinas, and he left us too soon. But fortunately, I was able to create some incredible music and experiences with him. And then George Benson, I will send you the article. There's a magazine coming out called Newark Bound that Comcast, this is their first issue with Comcast. And I said about George Benson that he was the greatest recording artist ever. And I say why? Because people go, "What do you mean that?" First of all, there's been instrumentalists and there's been vocalists.
Oh, yeah, right. He was both.
No one person has done and achieved the quality and success and the magnitude of success as he has on both.
Right.
He's had Grammy winners in #1 instrumentals and vocals. And
a great live performer, too. I mean, just amazing performer, yeah.
He was here in October. We started New York, New Brunswick, New Jersey, Atlantic City, and New Hampshire. For the first time in 30 years in Atlantic City at Harrah's, I didn't even get a seat. I had to watch the show from the wings.
Wow.
And we have the one for me that Tom Mazzetta worked. We're going to be re-releasing that. George has a book out, and we're looking to do some exciting things in coming up. And 2015 is really going to be a very exciting year for us.
Are you coming to Vegas?
I got to. Now, Michael invited me for dinner.
Gotta come to Vegas.
You know something, Charlie? I said that I got to go see my mother. I got to. You know what I mean? Before God takes her home, I got to go
We'll
see
be
her.
right away.
And I said, Mom, at the end of January, I said to Sandy, let's just get in a plane and let's spend 3-4 days. You know what I mean? I told my company, I got to go. You know what I mean? And I think what we're going to do is go see my mother. And then if you guys are out there, we could take a run to New York or wherever you guys, or Atlantic City.
When you go see your mother, I'll be in Egg Harbor. Then we'll go to New York.
Yeah, well, we'll come to see you. I'm serious. And we'll go out.
Serious too.
Good. And we'll do that because, are you familiar with Ventnor?
Of course.
Okay, do you remember Lou's and Ventnor? Lou's Delicatessen? They had a corned beef sandwich that was for the Jews. These people would numb the fool around with. Unbelievable. You couldn't bite into that sandwich. It was.
Do you know, let me ask you, Mike, do you know Big Benny Marcella?
Benny Marcella, you kidding? Of course.
That's my friend's cousin. I talk to him every day.
Get the hell out. You tell Benny that. Well, he would know my family, the Undertaker. See, my grandfather was the funeral director in Philadelphia, South Philly, Leonetti's. And we buried Mario Lanza. It's no longer there. But that's what gave us our break. And a lot of people connect me with Leonetti. No, well, yeah, we're friends. We're cousins. But outside of him, Tommy Leonetti, which was no relation to me.
Right.
That was with the hit parade. Do you understand?
Look at all that came out of Philly. You had Rydell, you had Fabian, you had Avalon. I mean, that was an institution. Then that molded into the sound of Philadelphia.
Right.
In my lifetime, was the greatest music ever made. That's what my music sounds like.
Well, you remember Jimmy Ercolani? You know who that is? Jimmy Darren. His last name was Ercolani.
Yeah. He went to school with Ray Abruzzi, my friend.
Right, because when his grandfather died, because I'm 62. They got a few years on me. They're like Jimmy's got
to be at least 75.
Yeah, he's up there. They're pushing 80. And I went down, and my good friend Gil Cohen, he works at the.
What?
Gil Cohen.
Gil Cohen's son?
Yes, Gil Cohen. He's my very special friend.
Yeah, Gil Cohen. You tell Gil Cohen, give him a hug for me. He was at the Stardust.
Right. His father was very instrumental with Sinatra.
Yale Cohen. His father was Yale Cohen.
Right.
I used to hang out there when I was a kid with Joe Namath.
Right.
Gil, one of the best guys ever. There was Yale Cohen, his dad, and they had a little partner there, Milt Jaffe. And those guys ran the Stardust.
You're right. You're right.
Part of that is how I became a producer. When they arranged for me to meet Elvis, and I went back and I'm talking to Joe Namath, it was a surprise. And this little weird guy is talking to me, and we get into this heavy music conversation.
Right.
So he says to me, "What record company you work with?" So I said, "I don't. I own a restaurant." So Joe's lawyer, Jimmy Walsh, looks at him like, "Oh, but calm down." Like I'm not lying, because this guy, he saw him get nervous.
Right.
And he says, "Young man, I'm going to tell you something right now. I've never told this to anybody, but if you never thought about being a record producer, that's what you should do." You know who that gentleman was?
Who's that?
Phil Spector.
No kidding. How do you like that?
And we were at a place called La Taverna on Sunset Boulevard, owned by three brothers from Italy. The next night we walk in, and as we're walking in, they're carrying Phil out with like a pizza. Wig falls down, next thing, boom, a 45 hits the floor.
No kidding. Well, I got to tell you...
Years later, 20 years later, whatever, somebody said, "Hey, some famous record producer shot somebody." I didn't even have to hear the news. I knew who it was. But that's an incredible story. A man like that telling me that, and I had to take it seriously.
Well,
I did. And I learned my craft and then went on.
He owned a restaurant.
I got to tell you something about Gil Cohen. I went to college for quite a while. And
yes, I got you.
And anyway, to make a long story short, I met Gil at a party, his wife, and we start talking about all the people, because I was, at the 70s, I was connected with all them wonderful people, and I got a hell of a break in life. And she says, "My husband has to meet you." And we start talking about all the entertainment directors, and these guys are dead now. Anyway, I became inseparable friends with Gil Cohen. So Kathy, his wife, says, "Michael," just before I met Sandy, "why don't you come to my house for Christmas Eve?" Now, you know as well as I do, Charlie, Christmas Eve to guys like us is a very serious day.
Very.
And it was a long time before I sat down around the table and had a meal with friends. So I said, I'll tell you what. Let me cook for you. I'll go to the store and I'll cook for you. Are you sure? Yeah, because I cooked for him before. So we go to the store, me, Gil, and his wife. He had about 30 people. Three-quarters of them were all from Jewish faith. I put a banquet on the table. He went out of his mind. We stayed till 3 in the morning. He looked up. He said, "How the freak did you ever get a linguine stuck to my ceiling?" I made
You made sure it was al dente. You threw it up in the air.
Up in the air. I got to tell you something, Charlie. If the day comes where Sandy and I get married, I said to Gil, I want you to be my best man. And I can't wait to get off the air, because when I get off the air, I'm going to call him to tell him that we spoke.
He'll remember me. I used to be there with Joe Namath. When he sees me, he'll remember me.
All right.
And is he at Wynn? The last I heard, he was at Wynn.
No, he's at the
Monte Carlo. He's at the Monte Carlo.
He's at the Monte Carlo now as the casino host. And what I'll do now is call us back. Do you have his phone number? No. I'll give you his phone number. Say, Mike Leonetti, I got off the. I'm sure Gil will love to hear from you. So
it's part of, and now with this OC thing going on, OC worked at Caesar's Palace. And
right.
This is just, there are no accidents,
Yeah.
We're connecting for a reason. And when you and Sandy get married, I got a wedding song for you.
I can hear it, Rob.
Guarantee.
What did it say? Lifetime guarantee?
Lifetime Guarantee by Ronnie Lamar, the first artist I ever worked with. The song is beautiful. It was written by the great Jimmy George, who did I Always Love You for Taylor Dane, Just to See Her, Smokey Robinson.
Uh-huh.
Pretty song.
Well, I'll tell you, once Sandy signs the prenup, you're going to hear wedding bells.
Don't hold your breath.
If she signs the prenup, no matter what, she gets Sunday dinner. So,
There you go.
Well, Charlie, what you got to do, if you go on the internet and pull up Sandy Kastel, she's got hit records. She did.
They're not hits.
She's
just records.
An author. She's a gabalosa.
She's the best. She's the best. I got to tell you something. You made my day, because Sandy said to me, we got a guest calling in. Sometimes, it's hard when people call in, they're not in the studio, because we got our listeners, and we had about 15 phone calls since you've been on the air. And I looked at my engineer, and when I wave my hand, that means to tell him, I don't want anybody calling. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Because I want to give you our undivided attention. Some people I want to call. You know what I'm trying to say to you? Because the other people are mamalukes. I mean, they bring the show down. But to you, it's such a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you. But like I said, just put in Shopping at Smith's, and you'll see the Italian show that Sandy and I did. It'll give you a face with the voice. And I got to tell you, it's such a pleasure, Charlie. And I can't wait to get a hold of Gil. And I'm going to give the phone number to my engineer. So before you hang up, he'll give it to you so you can call Gil. I'm sure he'll love to hear from you.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk to him, because we had a mutual friend from Chicago that passed away last August, and they stayed close. Matter of fact, he had a watch that Gil gave him from the 70s, a gold watch inscribed.
Wow.
Gil's always a gentleman. And, this has been a real pleasure. You have a picture there that I sent you, so you know what I'm like. But you really got to let me know when you're coming to see your mom. And we'll stay in touch, because, first of all, not only me, but I'm going to tell whatever artist I know about, and they'll always be interesting, because I don't do boring. To get a hold of you guys and have some fun, because I believe in what you're doing. I see a real national, international thing going on with you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very excited. I tell you, teaming up with Sandy was great, because she was Miss Nevada in 1976 in the Miss America pageant, and she's just
that was my first trip back.
She's
to
very
Atlantic
rare,
City,
because I was married twice, and I got to tell you quick, I took Sandy back to Atlantic City to meet my mother, and I was deathly afraid, because my mother wanted me to marry an Italian girl all my life. I said, Ma, they're beautiful. They have one kid and grow a mustache. My sister's got a mustache you would not believe. She curls it and waxes it.
If you have a beef with them, they call Daddy. You got 16 guys at your house.
Tell me about it. But Sandy,
have an argument, you have a sit down.
That's great. So what are you doing for Christmas Eve? I mean, where are you going to go eat at?
His daughters.
My oldest daughter is at the Jersey Shore by Point Pleasant. So we have a family tradition. My youngest, she flew in from Denver, and I have my grandson is 22 months old now. He's
oh my gosh.
My only grandchild. So we do our family thing.
That's great.
And I was at a couple of Christmas parties back back and forth. So it's always family. That comes first to me, my family.
Charlie, do you have a website where people can find out about what you're doing, and especially with this new book and everything that you're working on?
Yeah, well, right now it's BlueWaterRecordings.com. And then, Sandy, I'll come back or email you. You can announce that they're working on a new website. It's going to be called thesingersproducer.com. It's under construction right now. That'll have newsletters and all of that, and be talking about it. And we'll stay in touch.
Okay.
I have a project that I can't mention the artist's name, but I'll give you background on it.
Okay.
I did a record that was more of an R&B dance based. I was in my 20s. They told me to dance, and I wrote and produced it the next day. I wrote it the night before, produced the next day in Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
I like to work with MFSB. And the people who optioned it, the label didn't take it. We got turned down everywhere. Somebody said, put it out yourself. I said, what are you, crazy? I mean, here I am, a young 24-year-old kid producing for the major labels. They said, no, don't worry about it. And the thing started to explode. Everybody bid on it. RSO Records calls me up at the night of the Academy Awards when they're winning everything, and for Saturday Night Fever. And we make a deal over the phone. I figured now my life is going to change forever. Well, what happened, guys, they didn't know how to promote a record. They didn't have to. They just filled orders. Give me Saturday Night Fever. Give me Grease. They were so hot. And they blew the record. We did an album called Meet the Beat, was a hot disco thing, written by Chaz Palminteri at that time, who was one of my friends. He was a lounge singer. And it did okay, but really it was a kick in the stomach to me, at that time, because it was on my way. But then I said, let me do the music of my heart, and that's when I affiliated with O.C. Smith. Well, last year we found out that a French group ripped off my song and sold over 3.5 million copies.
Oh, my gosh.
They didn't sample it. They actually took my track.
The whole thing. Oh.
So anyway, we're working it out right now, which will be fine, and nobody's denying this. But I found out through my friend Barry Fidel that's the way Jersey Boys got started. They were doing, this group was doing Oh What a Night in French, and they found out about it. So this is going to be, but somebody involved in the project. There's a lot of worldwide things going out, and it's going to be kind of a healing for me. Can you understand that?
Yes.
Like, it's
after all these years, right, to have something.
Yeah, and that I was right, that it was a hit. My life would have changed so much. So, I always tell people one thing is have no regrets. Just go forward.
That's right.
Well, Charlie, let me say real quick, we're getting down to the end, and I want to say something to you in Italian. Do you understand Italian?
Yeah, a little bit. Enough.
Non ci scordate, salo di sempre uno tuo amico per quello che ha fatto per me. What I just said in Italian, don't ever forget, you will always be very special to me, okay, for the kindness that you have showed me. Non ci scordate, don't forget, uno tuo amico per quello che ha fatto per me, what you done for me. Buona salute, paesano, capisci?
Buona salute, sì.
Thank you, Charles. All right, we'll talk again. Now, don't forget to call back in and give us a shout out, okay?
Yeah, call back. We got the phone number for you, for Gil Cohen.
Or just hold on, and we'll get you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. For everybody who's just tuning in now, you're listening to Sandy Kastel and Friends Variety Show with Chef Michael. And we had Charles Wallard here on our phone with us today. It was a wonderful experience. Now, we'll see you again tomorrow morning here on KLAV, Lotus Broadcasting. Have a great day and check us out on YouTube this afternoon. Ciao.
State buono, mannaggia America.
If it sizzles, crackle.